verdict that we had this afternoon at the Daily Center. I'm introducing Bradley M. Cosgrove, B-R-A-D-L-E-Y, Cosgrove, C-O-S-G-R-O-V-E, partner at Clifford Law Offices. Francine Cornejo, F-R-A-N-C-N-I-N-E, Cornejo, C-O-R-N-E-J-O. It's also in the press releases you received. She is the mom of the victim here in this case. And then, to my right, is Jack J. Castro. Jack J. C-A-S-C-I-A-T-O. Partner in Clifford Law. They are the two trial attorneys at the Daily Center. They were on trial for, they'll tell you about the incident. I'm going to start out with Brad Cosgrove talking about the case. Brad?
Good morning. On behalf of the Cornejo family, we're very happy for the verdict today. We're just satisfied that the jury was able to hear very complex issues and to bring justice in for the family on behalf of Gustavo Jr. On September 27, 2016, the Cornejo family was on the side of the Highway 394 in a northbound direction in Sauk Village because of inoperable lights on the trailer of their vehicle. They pulled to the shoulder. They were about 3 to 4 feet off the side of the shoulder when a truck traveling behind them lost control of the vehicle, leaving 300 feet of skid marks, jackknifed onto the highway, and crashed into the Cornejo vehicle on the shoulder of the roadway. At the time that the truck came into contact with Gustavo Jr., he was standing outside of the vehicle checking the lights on the vehicle. Gustavo was thrown 30 feet at the point of impact, suffering traumatic brain injuries. He suffered internal injuries, fractured ribs. He suffered a broken back at the L1 to 4 transverse process. He also had a subdural hematoma and a skull fracture. He was flown by helicopter to Cook County Stroger Hospital, where he spent a month, including 2 weeks in which he was in a coma. He has had a very rough road. At this point in time, he has recovered to some degree, but still requires supervision in most aspects of his life. At the time of the crash, Gustavo Jr. was 17 years old, and today still suffers from emotional, psychologic, and traumatic brain injuries. On behalf of the Clifford Law, myself, Brad Cosgrove, and Jack Castro, were happy that the court was able to provide a trial. Being that COVID hit our nation, we have had trials that have been closed in Cook County for large, significant cases like this for a number of months, if not more than that. And this case was previously set to go to trial in the beginning of the coronavirus shutdown. It had gotten rescheduled, and we were just happy to have an opportunity to be able to bring the case before a jury. We had 12 jurors who deliberated on the case over 2 days. The jury got the case on Friday, and they deliberated late into the night on Friday. They restarted their deliberations this morning around 9:30, and the verdict came in shortly after 12:30 today. We're very happy with the sacrifice that the jury was able to give for the family, and we are very happy that they were able to provide compensation for Gustavo, including future medical bills, to make sure he is able to be cared for the rest of his life. The verdict was itemized as follows. The jury verdict was against two different defendants, two different corporate defendants, Alliance Shippers, Inc., and Dakota Trucking, Inc. Dakota Trucking was a Vermilion, South Dakota company that has somewhere between about 80 and 100 semi-trucks on the road throughout the United States. Alliance Shippers is a nationwide shipper that is involved with shipping materials nationwide and internationally. They're headquartered out of New Jersey. They have an office in the southwest suburbs of Illinois. The jury in the case found the verdict against both corporate defendants and the defendant driver, Gordon Lewis. The verdict came in at $18,150,750, and it was itemized as $1 million of loss of a normal life, $3.5 million of loss of a normal life reasonably certain to be experienced in the future, $2.16 million of pain and suffering experienced, $1.54 million of pain and suffering reasonably certain to be experienced in the future, $3.25 million of emotional distress experienced, $3.5 million of emotional distress reasonably certain to be experienced in the future. The jury provided $3.2 million for future medical care for the Cornejo family, and that is one thing that the Cornejo family is very, very satisfied that the jury made sure to provide Gustavo Jr. with the funds necessary to establish lifelong care for his traumatic brain injury. They also were able to provide compensation in the amount of $750 for disfigurement.
Fran, did you want to show some of the exhibits that were shown
Yes.
in trial? Please, thank you.
To my right, we have an exhibit that was used during the trial. This was an animation that was created. This is a still from the animation. As you could see, the Cornejo vehicle was 3 to 4 feet off the side of the roadway. It was a Ram truck with a landscaping vehicle. They had just left a landscaping site where they realized that the rear lights of the trailer were disabled. They pulled to the side and were on the side of the road no more than 3 minutes. When Gustavo Jr. got out of the car to make sure that the lights were reconnected properly, as they were testing the lights to make sure that they were operable, this truck, it was a Dakota Lions truck carrying a container, left about 300 feet of brake marks, jackknifing from the right lane and crashing into Gustavo Jr. directly, and then colliding into the landscaping trailer on the side of the roadway. Gustavo Jr. was thrown 30 feet forward and was unconscious at the scene, where he remained unconscious for the next 2 weeks. The truck driver left 300 feet of skid marks from being in the right lane. It was one of the arguments in this case is that anytime there's a disabled vehicle on the side of the road, a commercial motor vehicle should move to the left lane to avoid hazards. We have also for presentation another exhibit, which is a photograph of Gustavo Jr. taken at Stroger Hospital. We have another exhibit of Gustavo Jr. taken at Stroger Hospital that shows him in the intensive care unit, where he remained for approximately 3 out of the 4 weeks in which he was hospitalized at Stroger. I'm going to introduce to you Francine Cornejo, and this is the mother of Gustavo Cornejo, who was a minor at the time of the crash, and she has a few words that she'd like to reference for you.
Hi, my name is Francine Cornejo, and I am the mother of Gustavo Cornejo Jr. The last 6 years of my life, and that all my family has been most difficult of our life. In 2016, my son Gustavo Jr. was 17 years old, with the hopes and dreams of every other teenagers. So sorry. Now all those dreams are lost and are gone. He is a complete different person. I spend most of the day taking care of him or try to make him comfortable or try to ease his pain and have him now that he is loving by his family. I want to thank God and Clifford Law Office and in the particular my attorney Brad Cosgrove and Jack Castro for their hard work and seeing that justice was done. I am so grateful to the jurors who understand their verdict that my son is going through and will be going through for the rest of his life. Although the verdict cannot make him the way he used to be, it will be such a help in the caretaking and request for the rest of his life. This verdict easily some of the words of now that we know can continue the proper care of Gustavo and give him the future that help he needs. Thank you.
Mrs. Cornejo said it best, that this verdict is for a good family that now goes home tonight recognizing they have the finances to take care of their son. But it also speaks volume to the trucking industry that you must follow safe driving practices every minute, every mile, no exceptions, because this is an example of when a driver fails and disregards safe driving practices, what the end result is a mother that will spend the rest of her life caring for a son that was involved in a horrific accident.
Anybody have any questions?